I mean, it's Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points. I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. Yo, what's up? So I didn't have time to record a whole thing and get it edited. So I'm just gonna run through a bunch of games and try to do the stats in slideshow fashion. I don't know if I've tried this a couple of times. It doesn't really work. Probably gonna be a little bit of a wonky stream, but do the best I can. Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. We talked about this when I had Duck on the live stream, and I know the lead story of this one is kind of Narduzzi's comments about how this game doesn't really matter because Pitt's only path to playing in the college football playoff would be through the ACC championship game, and this isn't a conference game. So he basically said, like, this is actually someone asked, is this a must-win game? And he said, no, not at all. I don't know. I think he was just being honest. It's not a must-win game. That being said, I don't take that comment as like, oh, they're not going to be motivated. I mean, this college game day is here. College game day is in Pittsburgh. They're retiring Aaron Donald's jersey at halftime. It's the first top 25 versus top 25 matchup in Pittsburgh in a long time. So I don't even really care about the comments. I personally think Notre Dame's going to struggle to move the ball in this game. Notre Dame, although they've been very efficient throwing the ball, this is still an offense that wants to run it. And Pittsburgh, second in the country in success rate per rush, 7th in PPA per rush. This is a very strong run defense. So I don't really think Notre Dame, in the nasty weather, there's a chance of rain. I don't know if they can come in here and run the ball in this Pittsburgh defense. In fact, I think they're going to struggle to do so. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. It's working. Slideshow's working. So Pittsburgh has played 4 games this year against offenses that run the ball, run-first offenses. They're allowing 2.55 yards per carry in those games, 34.1% success rate per rush. Now, I understand it's Notre Dame, but you got Louisville in there. You've got Florida State in there. So, yeah, I think Notre Dame's going to struggle to run the ball in this game. Here's the thing. Can Pittsburgh stop CJ Carr from throwing the ball? Because he's been excellent. Tough to argue with these numbers. In the last 7 games, a 123.3 NFL passer rating. I'm not trying to poke holes in what Notre Dame's done. Do question the defenses a little bit. Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, NC State, USC, Boston College. There's no elite defenses on this list in terms of looking at CJ Carr's last 7 games. Only 2 of these games were on the road, too. So 4 out of these 6 games were at home. Look, CJ Carr's been excellent. I do think there's some weight in saying he's had a little bit of an easy path in the last. Wow, I said last 7 games. There's only 6 names on there. I don't know if I'm leaving a game out, but he's played some easy defenses. Now, to be fair, when it comes to Pitt's secondary, how many quarterbacks have they seen? You can kind of make the same argument. But this Pittsburgh defense is healthier. Remember, Kyle Lewis, their best defensive player, he was injured. He's now back. Both their corners were injured earlier in the season. Their names are Battle and Lynham. They're both back. They've been back for a few weeks. They might be getting Rasheem Biles back, who's their main linebacker. So Pittsburgh's defense is healthy. I think they can put up a fight here defensively. I think they're going to be pumped up. On the other side of the ball, this is where I think Notre Dame will have the huge edge. This Pittsburgh offense, Desmond Reed looks like is going to play, which is huge. That's probably their best player on offense. But this Notre Dame defense has turned over another leaf. Now, getting Desmond Reed back is huge. If you look at this, want to know 2 of the games that Desmond Reed missed? West Virginia and Louisville, the 2 games they lost. He's definitely a huge piece to the defense. But I think Heinzel's kind of come back down to earth, threw a couple picks in the Stanford game, and he kind of just took the field by storm and was putting up these huge numbers as a freshman. It's kind of come back down to earth. And this Notre Dame defense, man, they are playing as well as any defense in the country. Through the first 4 games, there was a lot of concerns here for Notre Dame's defense, but last 5 games, they're allowing less than 12 points per game, 34.1% success rate, 4.34 yards per play. This defense has been like I said, playing as well as any defense in the country. They're also healthier. Obviously, their main corner, Leonard Moore is back. Well, actually, they're still missing their defensive tackle, Rubio, but their other corner, Christian Gray, he's set to return as well. He just missed 2 games. So Notre Dame's going to have all 3 of their top corners on the field for only the second or third time all year. Heinz will struggle with pressure this year, tends to hold on to the football. Yeah, I think the way to go would be under here. What's holding me off a little bit is the pace. Cade Bell, the OC for Pitt, he moves at 1,000,000 miles an hour, so it's tough taking an under in a Pittsburgh game. But there's supposed to be nasty weather. Yeah, give me. Oh man, my graphics are out of order. There we go. Under. That's where I'd go in this one. I kind of want to take Pitt too, to be honest, but not going to do it. Under. UTSA Charlotte. Whoa. Sorry about that. UTSA Charlotte. Let's see if this works. Let me switch the slideshow. UTSA Charlotte. Please work. All right, we're in business. All right, so we're talking about UTSA going back out on the road. We know what that means. This offense, man, their last 2 road games, they got blown out in both of them. These splits are crazy. And remember, this isn't just this year. This team is always significantly better at home in the Alamo Dome. They're just like an arena football team. You take this team outdoors. This year it goes from 48 points per game to 20 points per game. Last year it was 42 to 22. It's the same exact insane-looking splits 2 years in a row here. Now, this is really putting the splits to the test because we are talking about Charlotte's defense. They're 136 in success rate. I mean, if there was ever a spot where UTSA could move the ball on the road, it would probably be against Charlotte. But this offense just doesn't look the same when they go outdoors. On the other side of the ball, it's interesting with Charlotte's offense because Grayson Loftus is actually making some throws. Remember, Connor Harrell, Charlotte's quarterback, out for the year. And they were kind of bouncing between a couple quarterbacks, but Grayson Loftus is the guy. And check out his last 2 games. 287 yards per game, decent passer rating, delivering throws from a clean pocket. It's actually been all right. Now, in these last 2 games, well, actually, the North Texas game, remember, Charlotte was winning that game in the third quarter. They actually had a lead, and North Texas scored like 35 unanswered at the end. In the ECU game, they were down 28-0 immediately, so some of the numbers there might have come in garbage time. But this Charlotte offense doesn't look completely anemic, and when it comes to UTSA's defense, it's kind of tough. In the last 3 games, they've gotten completely lit up, over 45 points per game. They've gotten completely smoked in their last 3 games. They played North Texas, Tulane, and South Florida. Those offenses don't even belong in the same conversation as Charlotte, so it's tough because when they were playing easier offenses earlier in the season, they were actually playing pretty well. So I think the way to go in this one would also I think the way to go in this one would also be an under or Charlotte. 62.5 is a big number. This is being priced, this total, as if this game's being played in the Alamo Dome. But UTSA, oh my God, that's the wrong game. It's 58, not 62.5. 58. This game's kind of being priced like it's at home in the Alamo Dome. UTSA only averages 20 points per game on the road. So I would go under or Charlotte in this one. Next game. Arizona, Cincinnati. All right, let's switch my slideshow here. Okay, Arizona, Cincinnati. Okay, so Cincinnati obviously coming off the loss to Utah. We all saw that they lost by like 30 points in that game. Despite that loss, they still control their own destiny because remember, Cincinnati and BYU still play after this. So Cincinnati, all they have to do is win out, and they're guaranteed a spot in the Big 12 championship game. So they still control their destiny. This is a pretty tough matchup for Arizona's defense. They're coming off a big comeback emotional win over Kansas. Then they immediately go on the road to see one of the most explosive offenses in the conference in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's coming off a bye week too. Arizona also took a couple hits on defense. Their defensive tackle, Savea, he got injured in the Kansas game. He's been ruled out. They also lost their 3rd or 4th corner. So they also lost a corner in that game. So they took a couple losses. You look at Arizona's defense against the run in their last 4 games. They're 52% success rate per rush. Cincinnati might be getting Evan Pryor back. That's their star running back. He didn't play in the Utah game. Not sure if he's coming back. Either way, Cincinnati should be able to run the ball in this game. Sorry. If you look at Cincinnati's rushing numbers in their conference games, over 5.8 yards per carry. So, yeah, Cincinnati should be able to run the ball in this game. I actually think there is a path to Arizona playing a solid defensive game here. Sorsby seems to be coming back down to earth. Back-to-back games where he really wasn't efficient throwing the football. It's supposed to be really windy in this game, so Cincinnati might be especially reliant on the run. Their wide receiver, too, Caleb Goody, might miss the game as well. And Arizona is also really good at forcing turnovers. Cincinnati just turned the ball over 3 times against Utah. So I think Arizona might be in a position to be a little bit aggressive defensively to take away the run. I think there's a path up to Arizona playing a decent defensive game here. I think Cincinnati might have peaked a little bit. Sorsby coming down to earth. On the other side of the ball, it's a bit tougher. Cincinnati vulnerable against the run. Arizona not really an offense that runs it. They have some pretty efficient rushing numbers, but they drop back to pass with Fafita more often than not. Also, when you're looking at Cincinnati's year-long defensive numbers, Corleone, their best defensive player, their defensive tackle, he missed a few games earlier. He's back. So Cincinnati's defense might be not as bad. I will say, though, Cincinnati doesn't have much of a pass rush. Fafita should have time to work. He tends to hold on to the football, and he's got a 118.8 pass rating when given a clean pocket. Again, it's going to be windy. I think 6.5 is a bit too high here. This isn't one I played or anything, but yeah. Oh, is it 6 now? One sec. Arizona. I don't even see this game. Oh, no, you can still get a 6.5. Yeah, it's Arizona for me at 6.5. South Florida Navy. As much as I would love to see Navy give them a game, this is a huge game. As much as I would love to see it, this Navy team just can't cover anybody. All right, South Florida Navy. So, like I said, this is a huge game. These two teams right at the top of the conference. It's senior day for Navy. So this is it for Navy. It's senior day. You're at home against South Florida. Navy wins this game. You would think they're pretty much good to go in terms of playing in the conference championship game. Whoever wins this game, I would imagine, secures a spot in that game. Well, South Florida still has a few games after this, but yeah, this is a huge game in the conference, and the story's pretty simple. I mean, we know what the deal is with Navy's defense. They can't cover anybody. The secondary can't cover anybody. It was the concern everyone had about Navy coming into the season. We weren't sure about the secondary, and that's basically exactly what we've seen. They're 113th in success rate per dropback, 129th in PPA per dropback. So even though South Florida is not really a passing offense, they want to run the ball first. We know Byron Brown is capable of making the throws. So weather's supposed to be fine. Look at Navy's defense against the pass in the last 5 games. I mean, 10.4 yards per pass attempt, over 52% success rate per dropback. There's nothing on paper that indicates Navy's capable of stopping South Florida's offense. So South Florida's going to move the ball in this game. The question's on the other side of the ball, which is pretty much the question in every Navy football game. It's not whether they can make stops. We know they probably can. It's whether or not the other team can stop them. It's tough. On the season, Navy is 4th in success rate, 6th in PPA per play. These are extremely efficient offensive numbers. South Florida's defense certainly having a great year. The thing with Navy is, we were just talking about this last week. We were talking about the Notre Dame game. The thing with Navy, they've played so many games against bad defenses. You look at Navy's schedule, it's like Florida Atlantic, Tulsa. Like, the toughest defense they saw was North Texas all year before last week. And then last week they went into South Bend. Now they still average 4.58 yards per carry, 206 rushing yards, but keep in mind they don't throw it. So they only had like 250 total yards of offense in the game. So look, is South Florida Notre Dame? No. But it's outside of Notre Dame, it's the best defense Navy has seen all year. So I think they're able to generate some stops. I mean, this South Florida defense seems to be peaking at the right time, too. In their last 4 games, 4.83 yards per play, under 39% success rate. And look at the opponents. Memphis, North Texas. These are some of the best offenses in the conference. UTSA is pretty good as well. So I think South Florida is able to generate a stop or two. And in my opinion, that's all it's going to take, because South Florida should score on every possession. So the way I'd go in this one is South Florida or over. We still haven't gotten one to. I'd go South Florida or possibly an over, but I don't know if Navy's going to make those big explosive plays. That's how the game gets over the total in these Navy games. So I would go South Florida minus the 10. I'd probably play this. Is there a 9.5? No, it's just 10. In fact, there's a couple 10.5s. South Florida, I think, is playable at 9.5. Eastern Michigan, Ball State. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. All right, let's get those slides up. I gotta say, this slideshow method isn't. I thought it was going to be kind of a disaster. It's kind of going smoothly. All right, Eastern Michigan, Ball State. So, just raw football. Eastern Michigan versus Ball State. This number's at 2.5. Just Team A versus Team B. Eastern Michigan is considerably better. They're much better than Ball State. So why are we a little hesitant about taking them at minus 2.5? Well, number one, you look at this graphic right here. Eastern Michigan's offense against Ball State's defense looks like a good matchup for Eastern Michigan's offense, and it might be. But the thing is with Ball State, the same thing we've been saying all year, this team just turns into a superhuman at home. I don't know what it is. This team in Muncie is just so much better. In their home games, they're allowing 5.24 yards per play, under 39% success rate, 21 points per game. Most importantly, they're undefeated. This Ball State team is terrible. I don't know how they're undefeated at home. Remember, that's why I took them in the Kent State game. I was like, guys, this team just finds ways to win at home. So even though Eastern Michigan had under a field goal, it's like, oh, man, they should have no problems moving the ball and beating Ball State. This Ball State team has not lost a football game at home, and it gets deeper than that. If Ball State wins this game, this is their last home game of the season. They moved to 5-0 at home on the year. It will be their first undefeated home season since 1978. And this is Jeremovich's first year there. So this would be huge for Ball State to go 5-0 at home, first year with the new coach. There will be a lot of hype going into Ball State next year. If this new coach takes over, they go 5-0 at home in his first year. And to make matters even worse, look at Eastern Michigan on the road, 0-5. They haven't won a road game yet. 2-3 against the spread, 0-5. So you got Ball State, who's undefeated at home, and Eastern Michigan, who hasn't won a road game. Now, Ball State will be by far their easiest opponent. I mean, this team went to, where'd they go? They went to like Kentucky. Eastern Michigan had some tough opponents. Ball State will be by far their easiest opponent on the road. It's tough, because Eastern Michigan should be favored by more than a field goal. But the fact that this game's in Muncie changes things. Now, on the other side of the ball, Ball State's offense is not good. It's not good at all. 133rd in success rate, 127th in PPA per play. Eastern Michigan's defense is also bad, but they're playing better. And specifically, they're looking pretty strong against the run recently. You look at their numbers from their last 5 games, pretty solid numbers against the run, and that's significant because that's all Ball State does. That's all they can do. Their quarterback is Kyle Kelly. He's an athlete. He's not a pocket passer at all. Eastern Michigan, the weakness of this Eastern Michigan defense is they don't have a pass rush. They struggle against the pass. Kyle Kelly has a 76.4 passer rating from a clean pocket. That's just not the type of quarterback he is. He's an athlete. So Ball State's offense is bad. Eastern Michigan's defense has actually been kind of strong against the run. It has to be Eastern Michigan here. They're so much better, and to get them in under a field goal is crazy. But the Ball State they keep finding ways, man. This team is undefeated at home. And do I really want to step in front of that? Eastern Michigan for me. I mean, we're about to get to one I actually did play. So we started off with a bunch that I passed on. All right. Next up. All right. Let's go. Northwestern. Northwestern, Michigan. This game's at Wrigley, by the way. So Michigan controls their own destiny. I'm sure you figured that out by the simple fact that you know they play Ohio State the last game of the year. So all Michigan has to do is win out, and they will be playing in the Big Ten championship. That includes beating Ohio State in the final game. So Michigan's right there, controlling their own destiny. Now you look at this graphic. We know both these teams want to run the ball. Both these teams move slowly. Both these teams want to run the ball. Both these teams move slowly. Both these teams want to control the clock. So that we know that's the type of football game we're looking at here. Well, the clock should be continuously rolling, slow pace, under type of game. That's why the total's 42. All right. So you look at this graphic and you think, okay, Michigan's about to steamroll Northwestern on the ground. And I'm not necessarily saying they won't. I will say the Northwestern, you look at these numbers, 117th in success rate per rush, 129th in PPA per rush. Obviously, that's terrible. You look at Northwestern's defensive game logs throughout the year, this graphic might be a little small. They got absolutely steamrolled on the ground a couple games early. It hasn't been nearly as bad recently, and they actually just got their defensive tackle back, Migo Jackson. He just made a season debut last week against USC. He was out all year. So they actually just got a defensive tackle back as well. This Northwestern defense struggles against the run. It's not nearly as bad as the full season numbers show. And look, Michigan's banged up right now. You look at their last two games. They look fine, right? Everything's fine with Michigan. They're running the ball fine. They played Michigan State and Purdue, two of the weaker defenses in the conference. Remember, this is a team that's missing Justice Haynes, their running back. This is a team that's missing their left tackle, Evan Link. There are serious injuries on this Michigan offense. And I don't know if they go into Wrigley and run the ball in Northwestern. Northwestern's playing some good football right now. I know that they didn't cover against USC, but they ran into USC's offense at home. It's just a different animal. Bryce Underwood is not looking good. In his last two games, extremely inefficient numbers passing, 60.9 passer rating, 115.5 passing yards per game in the last two against Michigan State and Purdue. I think Northwestern's defense can get up for this one. We all know what happened last week. They got lit up on Friday night by USC in SoCal. Look at the 3 games before that. We're just going to ignore that this team was playing great defense. Remember, it wasn't that long ago, Northwestern went into Happy Valley and beat Penn State. Indiana almost lost there. So we were all like, oh, Penn State sucks. Like, that's a really huge win to go into Happy Valley and beat Penn State. They shut Purdue out. They beat them 19-0. So, yeah, I think Michigan might struggle to move the ball here. Underwood is not playing that well right now. So let's flip it over to the other side of the ball, because obviously it's concerning, because you might be thinking, well, how's Northwestern going to move the ball? And I think that's a good question. Northwestern's been consistently running the ball on everybody. They've run the ball on basically every defense they've seen. They're 29th in success rate per rush, 39th in PPA per rush. They lost their star running back early in the season, and that backup is awesome. He's so good, that guy. Michigan, obviously, an extremely tough defensive front. There are injury concerns on this Michigan defense. Outside linebacker Barham, he left the Purdue game. He's listed as questionable. Another one of their linebackers, Jimmy Rolder, he got injured in the Michigan State game. He didn't play against Purdue. He's listed as questionable. Linebacker Cole Sullivan also missed the Purdue game. So 3 of their top 5 linebackers dealing with injuries. 2 are listed as questionable. 1 is listed as probable. So there's some injuries to the linebacker. And also Rod Moore, their star safety, he finally came back. He's out again. It's out for the year, I think. So Michigan dealing with some injuries right now. You look at Michigan's game logs. They've been strong against the run. But let me ask you, what rushing attacks has Michigan seen? I mean, Purdue, that's... Michigan State, their offensive line is so injured. No, that's not a rushing attack. Washington's a passing offense. USC's a passing offense. And by the way, they ran the ball all over Michigan. Wisconsin's the worst offense in the conference. Nebraska's a passing offense. Central Michigan, they're a rushing offense. They're a MAC team. Oklahoma was running the ball. 50% success rate per rush on Michigan. So they haven't seen a ton of rushing attacks. I think Northwestern can move the chains here. I'm not sure how good this Michigan team is. Give me the Wildcats. I took this, 10.5. It's actually moved up for a while, and it was looking like I placed a bad one. You could still get 10.5, which is what I got. I'm on Northwestern in this one. Next up, another one that I took. Let's go. Falcons. Where's my Falcons graphic? Let's get the Falcons graphic up. There we go. Oh, actually, I guess I'll go through the stats first. Yeah. Line is inflated. They only lost by USPA by 14. I agree. Doc Productions. And running the ball's overrated. No, I know it's at Wrigley Field. I said that before. All right. Was everyone... You know what? Should I get the polls up? Let's get the polls up. I didn't realize this many people were going to be watching, to be honest. When I knew this was going to be late, I thought people would be watching it in the morning. I didn't realize there was going to be 200 you freaks in here. So I'll put up the polls so you guys can see what other people in the chat like. All right, Air Force UConn. Whoa. One sec. All right, there we go. Polls up. All right. Air Force UConn. So, where are my notes here? So that's senior day for UConn. Coming off a huge win, 37-34 over Duke. Offense looked good against a Duke secondary that's been getting cooked religiously all year. And you know what? You can say the same damn thing for Air Force. In fact, on the season, they're the worst pass defense in the country, 136th with success rate per dropback, 136th in PPA per dropback. So right off the bat, you're thinking, okay, UConn should throw the ball all over Air Force, and I don't necessarily disagree. I will say Air Force defense has been getting better. They only let up 16 points to San Jose State last week, who's also a pass-first offense. Now, they forced 3 turnovers, 7.25 yards per play, 57% success rate. San Jose State was moving the ball, so the 16 points is a little bit deceiving. But they did get one of their starting defensive backs back, Levi Brown. He came back from injury. So last couple of games, Air Force defense has looked better. The Army game was 2017, and then they held San Jose State to 16. So the Air Force defense is slightly better, but regardless, I'm not expecting Air Force defense to make a ton of stops here. UConn's going to be able to make throws. It's the other side of the ball. Can UConn's defense get off the field? What does this UConn defense struggle with this year? Getting off the field against the run. 130th in success rate per rush. That's what Air Force does. You can't get them off the field. It's one of the most efficient offenses in the country. We saw UConn play an option team, Rice, in week 9, who, by the way, Rice's option is nowhere near as effective as Air Force. That's a first-year head coach with Scott Abel. It's a brand new team. This Air Force offense is a well-oiled machine. UConn lost outright to Rice. Rice had 300 yards on the ground in the game. That's not total yards. That's rushing yards. 300 yards rushing against UConn and beat them outright. So we saw the option give UConn all kinds of problems back in week 9. Now, UConn has done a good job limiting explosive plays, which is why I can't go over. Because my first thought when I glanced at this one, I'm like, oh, man, this is going to be 48-45. But UConn's done a good job limiting the explosive plays. So I think the result of that is Air Force is going to have the ball for 7-8 minutes at a time. And I don't know how UConn covers a big number when Air Force is holding on to the football for the majority of this game. So, yeah, this number should not be over a touchdown if you ask me. I'm on the Falcons, plus 7.5. I took this one. Next. All right. Next up. Oh, man, I forgot that I actually have something in this, too. South Carolina, plus 18.5. Texas A&M, minus 18.5. I feel like the poll's slowing things up, though. Over 49, under 49. All right, South Carolina, Texas A&M. All right, let's get the slideshow up. All right, so revenge game here for South Carolina. I mean, for Texas A&M. If you remember, South Carolina kind of ended A&M season last year. They were like 7-1 at the time, or they might have been under. No, I think they were like 7-1 at the time. Texas A&M had playoff aspirations. Everything was looking great. South Carolina beats them 44-20. They had no answers at all for Sellers in that game. Do I have a graphic here? Here it is. South Carolina, over 7.5 yards per play. in the game, 44% success rate. Sellers went nuts. 244 yards passing, 105 yards rushing. So, yeah, they had no answers for Sellers the last time these two teams played. So, a revenge spot for Texas A&M. And you look at this graphic right here and you think, okay, mismatch. South Carolina's offense is terrible. How are they going to score points on Texas A&M's defense? And I hear your point. Look at South Carolina's offense over their last 4 games. I mean, 13.3 points per game, 4.07 yards per play. It looks terrible. Here's the thing. I actually think we can see South Carolina come out and score a couple touchdowns early in this game. They fired their play caller, Mike Shula, after just 9 games. Wide receiver coach Mike Furry takes over as the play caller. So Texas A&M is not going to have film on whatever it is South Carolina is going to come out here and do. They're playing with nothing to lose at this point. First-time play caller with nothing to lose. I think the South Carolina completely holds the element of surprise here. What has Texas A&M struggled with this year? Explosive plays. They're 125th in explosive plays allowed, and that's kind of been the one thing South Carolina can do offensively is connect on big plays, big, deep downfield throws, a broken screen pass for a touchdown. South Carolina's offense, the only thing they can do is big plays. They got the element of surprise here with the new play caller. I think South Carolina is going to rip a big touchdown or two in the first half, which is why I'm on South Carolina first half plus the points. Now, on the other side, I mean, Texas A&M's offense is a wagon, but this is an offense that wants to run the ball. It's actually not the best matchup here against South Carolina's defense. This is an offense that wants to run the ball. They're obviously injured at the position. Le'Veon Moss, their star running back, he's still hurt. They're hoping to get him back for possibly the playoffs. Where South Carolina has struggled is pocket passers, quarterbacks that drop back and deliver throws from the pocket. That's where they've struggled. That's not Texas A&M. Not that Marcel can't do that. He's capable of it. But if Texas A&M wants to run their normal offense, South Carolina's kind of equipped to give them problems. You look at South Carolina's last 5 games against the run. I mean, 155.4 rushing yards allowed per game, 37% success rate per rush. Kentucky, LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss, they're playing some good teams. Yeah, I think South Carolina's defense can even give them some problems. Now, I stuck to the first half because, I mean, there's such a talent discrepancy here. But I think South Carolina could connect on a big one. First half plus 10.5. I'm in there. Arkansas, LSU. Oh, there's 52 people voting. All right, I'll keep the polls going. Arkansas, LSU, sticking in the SEC here. This one's at 12:45 p.m. All right, let's get the slideshow up. So it looks like, by the way, they're calling this the interim coach bowl, or the SEC interim bowl, because both these teams have an interim head coach. So I guess Nussmeier is still the starter, I think. They benched him in the second half last game, but it's not like he was playing completely. I mean, it was on the road in Tuscaloosa. He wasn't playing completely terribly, but they said they needed a quote-unquote spark. That's the word they use. But from what I'm reading, I think Nussmeier is still the quarterback, but it sounds like we shouldn't be surprised if we see Van Buren at quarterback as well, who's more of a scrambler. I suppose that puts Arkansas in a situation a little tougher to game plan for if you don't know what quarterback's going to play, and they're both complete opposites. Van Buren's a scrambler. He's a good athlete. He's fast. Nussmeier's not. Nussmeier's not fast at all. So I guess that's a little bit of an advantage. The thing is, we're coming to the end of the season here, and LSU's just not a good offense. There's no more like, well, we know this LSU offense is going to come around at some point. It's way too late for that. It's not coming around. The offense sucks. They're 81st in success rate, 81st in PPA per play. Don't offer much of a threat on the ground. Now, their main wide receiver, Aaron Anderson, should be good to go for this one. He's listed as probable. Now, you might be thinking, well, Kyle, who cares? The Arkansas defense is terrible. Look at the graphic. It certainly supports your theory there. 126th in success rate, 128th in PPA per play. Here's the thing. Arkansas's defense might be a little undervalued. You look at the last 2 games, the defensive numbers actually look all right. They held their last 2 opponents to under 5.5 yards per play, 42.3% success rate. The PPA numbers actually look good. So Arkansas played back-to-back decent defensive games. And you look at that stretch where Arkansas was just getting smoked, and we were kind of all just like laughing at their defense. Look who they played. I mean, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Memphis is even one of the strongest group of 5 offenses, and Ole Miss. It's like 5 of the top 13 or 14 offenses in the country. So maybe we cut Arkansas's defense a little bit of slack because they went through the most insane gauntlet any defense has gone through in the country this year. And now that they're playing some lesser offenses, who, by the way, it's not like they're playing trash offenses. They played Auburn and Mississippi State. Those are respected SEC teams. And I think this Arkansas defense might be a little undervalued right now. And if we're looking at the teams that they've played here, when we're talking about LSU's offense, wouldn't you say LSU's offense is closer to the teams on the left than the teams on the right? Auburn, Mississippi State. I mean, look at LSU's offensive numbers in the last 5 games. They're averaging less than 20 points per game, 5.24 yards per play, under 39% success rate. This offense doesn't look very good. So, I mean, Arkansas's played decent defense in their last 2 games. LSU's offense just doesn't scare you. I think Arkansas could generate some stops in this game. And on the other side of the ball, I mean, LSU's defense is obviously the strength of the team. You don't need me to tell you that. Are they capable of generating stops against this Arkansas offense? It hasn't been made. It's not confirmed, but I'm not sure if we're going to see linebacker Whit Weeks in this one. I think he's missed 3 straight games. He's listed as a game-time decision. He has been listed as a game-time decision pretty much every single game. I don't think we're going to see Whit Weeks in this one still. And you look at LSU's defense in their last 3 games. I mean, this is not setting the world on fire here, guys. This is the strength of the team. They're allowing over 6.1 yards per play, over 46% success rate. Now, you might be saying, well, Kyle, they played Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, and Alabama. And that's true. We have to consider they've seen elite offenses. But, I mean, let's go back to this other graphic. What do we consider Arkansas? Is this not an elite? They're one of the most explosive offenses in the country. They're 9th in success rate, 7th in PPA per play. So I think Arkansas is going to be able to move the ball. This is the Golden Boot rivalry, by the way. This is a rivalry game between Arkansas and LSU. And by the way, if there's one team that is not scared to go to Baton Rouge, it's the Hogs, man. Their last 10 trips here, they're 3-7 straight up, but 7-2-1 against the spread. The Hogs are not scared of Baton Rouge. They're not scared of Death Valley. I think the Hogs might take the boot home. I think the Hogs might take the boot home here. I got a good number in this one. I got 6.5. I'm on Arkansas. Is that 4.5 now? I think it's still good. Anything above 4, I think it's still playable. So yeah, I'm on this one. Hogs up. I just looked at the chat. Okay, you talked me onto the Hogs. The poll on that one, 45% Arkansas, 32%, 62 votes. Yo, shout out to the freaks that are still awake watching this. Good to know I'm not the only one staying up this late before college football days. Oregon State, Tulsa. Probably not as many voters on this one. Oregon State, Tulsa is next. Yeah, see, this is where the downtime, when I said that the polls and get the slideshow, this is where the edited content, you just whip to the next game. This is where viewers will probably click off. All right, Oregon State, Tulsa. Okay. So Oregon State, I mean, Tulsa, this will be a quick one. I put it on there because I think Oregon State control the clock. So Tulsa's running the ball now, which everything Trey Lamb said during camp has just not been true at all. So during camp, he talked about how awesome Kirk Francis looked and how they were, I believe his exact quote was, "Don't be surprised if you see us dropping back to pass 55, 60 times a game. We got our quarterback." Well, he got a concussion, came back, had one bad half, and they benched him. And now they're running the ball. So the pass-heavy attack, I don't know. They're running the ball in their last 3 games. They haven't had much success with it. And that's playing right into the strength of this Oregon State defense. Oregon State obviously not having a good season. They are strong against the run. 55th in success rate per rush, 54th in PPA per rush. Look at Oregon State's last 6 games. I mean, this defense is playing all right. They keep finding ways to lose, but they're playing some solid defense. Success rate under 32% in their last 6 games. So Oregon State's playing some defense right now. Tulsa doesn't even have an identity. I think Oregon State could really give them problems here. And this is going to be an Oregon State defense that's pissed off because they're coming off what is the weirdest win or weirdest loss, I should say, of the season. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about or didn't watch this game, most people probably didn't. Sam Houston State, Oregon State. So check this out. Oregon State loses a home game to Sam Houston State. They outgained Sam Houston State, ready for this? 474 to 157. They more than tripled their total yards. 474 yards of offense to 157. Sam Houston State scored on a kickoff return and a blocked punt. That's how Sam Houston State got 14 of their 21 points. Sam Houston State won this game. They had 8 first downs the entire game. How do you give up 8 first downs in a game and lose? Yeah, so this Oregon State defense has been really good, and the Oregon State defense was lights out last game, and they still lost. So this is going to be a pissed-off defense. On the other side of the ball, Tulsa's defense a little bit better than we expected, but, man, Oregon State's got that running back they've got is good as hell. Hankerson, he's 7th in the country in rushing, and it hasn't really worked out at quarterback. They moved on from Malik Murphy, and the new quarterback's kind of like a dual threat. So Oregon State's kind of gone full run now. They're like fully a run team. They got a really good running back, and Tulsa's defense is never anything threatening. So I think Oregon State can sustain drives. Defense should be playing well. They've had a couple weird bounces at the end of games that are getting us extra here. I didn't actually pull the trigger on this one, but under a field goal, I think it's the Beavs. Next up, West Virginia, Arizona State in Tempe. Okay, let's talk West Virginia, Arizona State in Tempe. West Virginia, Arizona State. Okay. So, shout out Rich Rod. Does he have himself a football team here? Back-to-back wins for West Virginia. Win in Houston. They followed it up with... That final score is a little misleading. I mean, West Virginia controlled that game start to finish against a Colorado team that is so injured. They seem to be packing it up for the season. So, West Virginia back-to-back wins. And remember, right before this, they almost beat TCU. So it could be 3 straight wins for West Virginia. The thing is, I don't want to get it twisted. Look, they've got their quarterback there in Scotty Fox, and no question the offense is better. It's definitely better. It's still not good. The offense still hasn't been efficient. It's just a little bit better. They might be slightly better than these numbers show on the full season. But remember, this is still a really injured offense, and Jaheim White's out for the year, their main running back. Their other running back they've been using, his name's Hubbard. He's been dealing with an injury also. West Virginia's literally using one of their linebackers in short yardage situations right now. He's coming in on like 3rd and 1, and it's not like a gimmick like, oh, we're bringing in the defensive player. Why did you see Clemson? Never mind. Clemson hands the ball to the defensive tackle twice in a row. Almost lost my mind. It's not like a gimmick thing. They're literally using a linebacker on 3rd and 4th and short because it's all they have. They're so injured at running back. So I don't want to... My back itched. I don't want to get it twisted. West Virginia's offense is still bad. And Arizona State's defense is pretty good. Yes, they got lit up by Utah in week 7, but they played 3 games since then, and they've been playing some pretty solid defense. So I still think West Virginia is going to struggle to move the ball in this game. Arizona State's also getting their edge rusher, Prince Dorba, back. He's one of the best players on the defense. He's missed the last 2 games. He leads the team in sacks. He should be back for this one. So Arizona State's defense is also healthier. So, yeah, I think Arizona State can give West Virginia all kinds of problems here. The problem for Arizona State's on the other side of the ball. I mean, remember, this offense has no Levitt, no Tyson. Their star quarterback, their star wide receiver, probably the 2 best players on the team, both out. So what is this Arizona State offense without those 2 guys? Well, we know it's an offense that needs to run the ball because we know Jeff Sims, I don't want to say he can't throw it, but we know Jeff Sims is not the most powerful thrower of the football. He's a good athlete, But Arizona State's already an offense that needs to run it. You add in the fact that they don't have Levitt or Tyson, they really need to run it. That's all they're going to be able to do. Plays into the strength of this West Virginia team. They're 25th in success rate per rush, 36th in PPA per rush. And when it comes to West Virginia's defense against the run, I really don't know what to do with this right here. So in their last 3 games, lights out against the run. Under 2.25 yards per carry allowed. 32% success rate per rush. We're talking about 3 games in a row, elite defense against the run. Does that mean we erased the previous 4 games where they were getting run on, though? They allowed 5.7 yards per carry in the 4 games before that. So if you like West Virginia, you're buying in to this. You're saying, hey, they're playing great defense against the run right now. But they played TCU. They don't have a run game. Houston's offense sucks. Colorado's so injured. I don't know. This graphic right here is the main question. If you believe the left side of this graphic, you take the 11 with West Virginia. If you're saying, no, those are shitty offenses, well, Arizona State might be able to control the clock. I think it would be a nice under game here. The problem with an under, 5th in pace and 56th in pace. Rich Rod moves at 1 billion miles an hour. So it seems like the market's already on top of it because 47.5 is a super low number for a Rich Rodriguez game. This should be a fast-paced football game. So I personally think you got to go West Virginia or under. And I really think West Virginia is going to struggle to move the ball. I really think they're going to struggle to move the ball in this game. But I don't think Arizona State's offense poses enough of a threat to lay a big number. And this is a team, we're at the point of the season where some teams are playing for the postseason, some teams aren't. West Virginia is kind of like in the middle or in their own category. They're playing hard right now. They're playing for hype. They're playing for clout going into next season. West Virginia's playing their best football right now. So I think you go West Virginia plus 11. I'm a little worried about West Virginia moving the football, though. So West Virginia or under be the way to go. Marshall, Georgia State. Ooh, exciting one here. I didn't actually do that, the West Virginia one, by the way, as far as what I personally did. All right, this one, well, I'll go through this one quickly. I don't know how many people care about this game. The reason I included it is I think if Cameron Brown plays, that Georgia State would be worth, at plus 7.5, would be worth a bet. If Cameron Brown plays, and that's kind of the story in this one, real quick. So Marshall, Georgia State. Okay, so the Cinderella story with Marshall's over. Remember, Marshall was kind of like, why am I off center? Marshall was kind of like, and no one was expecting shit from Marshall. They won a few games, and I was like, oh, look at this Marshall team. The Cinderella story's over. They've taken back-to-back losses. If it was just James Madison, no big deal. They got smoked by Coastal. So Cinderella story's over, and the magic we were seeing from Carlos Del Rio Wilson, which didn't even make sense how he was putting up those numbers because they're a run-first offense, also seems to have come to a screeching halt. So the Cinderella story's over with Marshall. The thing is, this Georgia State defense really isn't good. So even though they're not connecting on the big passing plays, Marshall should be able to still run it. But the thing is, look at Marshall's rushing numbers. This is a team that wants to run the ball. They're not any good at it. They're 93rd in success rate per rush, 120th in PPA per rush. Where they were scoring was they were hand the ball off nonstop and then connect on one big passing play. Del Rio Wilson would have like 240 yards passing when he only dropped back to pass 18 times. That's gone. I don't really think this Marshall offense is very good. And Georgia State, this might be a little nitpicky. They have played good defense against the run in their last 2 home games. That's nitpicky as hell. But their last 2 times they played in this building, under 37% success rate per rush. All right. But really, the reason I brought up this game is right here on the other side of the ball. Because the story of Georgia State's season has been simply they were going back and forth between Christian Valaire and TJ Finley at quarterback. It was supposed to be Valaire, then he looked terrible. Then Finley took over, then he looked terrible. Then finally they put in a freshman at quarterback named Cameron Brown. And out of nowhere, Georgia State started scoring points. So that's kind of the story with this Georgia State offense. It found its identity when they got this freshman Cameron Brown. And I think Georgia State's a little undervalued because their offense is good when they have Cameron Brown on the field. Here's the problem. He's questionable. He got hurt last week. So if Cameron Brown's playing, Georgia State should score on Marshall. I think they can throw the ball at home. I think they could score. So if Cameron Brown's playing, this shouldn't be 7.5. But maybe the fact that it is 7.5 means he's not playing. So if Cameron Brown plays, maybe do a Google search before, tomorrow morning or something. If Cameron Brown plays, I'll go Georgia State plus 7.5. If he doesn't, I do not want to be on Georgia State if TJ Finley's playing quarterback, though. Next up, UTEP. Ah, man. Give me a plus 7 with UTEP. All right. So, Conference USA, UTEP, Missouri State. All right, so this UTEP team is playing significantly better. Keep in mind, like, that Kennesaw State game, they got robbed in that game. They should have had the ball down 6 with about 3.5, 4 minutes left. They got robbed in that game. And then Jacksonville State, they lost on a last-second field goal. So this UTEP team is playing much better. Look at their defense against the pass. And the reason I'm bringing up their defense against the pass is that's all Missouri State does. They don't really pose a threat on the ground. It's all relying on Jacob Clark and the passing offense. In their last 5 games, they've seen some passing attacks here. Louisiana Tech, Kennesaw, Liberty. They're allowing less than 6 yards per pass attempt, under 35% success rate per dropback. UTEP's been really strong against the pass. And like I said, it's all Missouri State can do is throw the ball. They're 127th in success rate per rush, 126 in PPA per rush. So UTEP's defense might be equipped to give Missouri State some problems. Problem is, on the other side, UTEP's offense isn't any good. It's been better. If you look at the last 3 games, they're averaging over 27 points per game, over 5.3 yards per play. But, I mean, in comparison to how they looked earlier in the season, not even close. Since they named Skylar Locklear the quarterback, they've definitely been better. And also there was like a culture change. They had that new touchdown celebration where they like they break the rocks with a pickaxe. So yeah, I think it'd be UTEP here. Keep in mind, we're talking about a Missouri State team that's like 6-3, 4-1 in conference, sitting up top, and then a UTEP team that's like 1-5, or 2-7 or something. And the line's only 4.5. So I think if this line was 7, this would be a spot to play UTEP. But the fact that it's the market's already on top of it with this one at 4.5. So I would probably just go under. Give me a UTEP at plus 6.5 or 7, and I would do it. But next up, I promise you go 0 about the Bears. Do you also know that UTEP's got one of the strongest run defenses in the conference? Virginia Duke. Man, this number keeps getting bet down. I guess that's because Chandler Morris is supposed to play. All right. So I talked about this one already. One second. Where'd my... Oh, there we go. Virginia Duke. All right. So Chandler Morris obviously gets hurt in this game, so maybe we don't take too much away from a terrible game here, a loss to Wake Forest that ended the Virginia's winning streak. Maybe we don't take too much away from it. But the thing is, Virginia's offense was trending in the wrong direction long before this. I mean, hold on. Where's my Virginia notes? Why can't I find my notes here? Here we go. Finally. Sorry about that. All right. So thing is, Virginia's offense was trending in the right direction long before that Wake Forest game. Remember, we talked about it every single week. It was like, how did Virginia win that game? They were terrible offensively, under 4.8 yards per play. in their last 5, under 35% success rate. Like, this offense already wasn't looking good before that Wake Forest game. So Chandler Morris possibly playing, I would imagine the line movement's indicative of him playing. It doesn't all of a sudden give me faith in this Virginia offense, even against a Duke defense that isn't playing well. This Virginia offense doesn't look very good. Now, they've had a lot of success against Duke. They're 8-1 straight up, 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games against Duke. Now, this is, I would imagine, the losers out of the ACC championship race here for this one. Both these teams are towards the top of the conference. The loser's probably out, and it's senior day for Duke. So pretty favorable spot. Senior day, playing to keep your season alive against a team that's kind of had your number in the new era of Duke. Now, Duke's defense has really struggled this year. We've seen them give up big numbers plenty of times. The thing is, where they've struggled is the secondary. They can't seem to cover anybody. Their defensive line is actually really good. They've got 2 of the best defensive tackles in the conference. So where they've struggled is in coverage. Virginia hasn't shown us much of a passing attack. I know they have Chandler Morris, but Chandler Morris has done most of his damage with his legs. We haven't seen much of a downfield passing attack for Virginia. Even in that big Florida State win where they put up a huge number, Chandler Morris was mostly doing it with his legs in this game. So you look at Duke's defense, yeah, they gave up big numbers to Georgia Tech, Clemson, UConn. In the 2 games before that, the Duke defense looks really good. In games where the opponent doesn't really give much of a downfield threat, well, Cal actually can throw the ball, but we've seen Duke defense look really good against the lesser offenses, and I personally think Virginia is a lesser offense right now. So I think Duke, even though not exactly a defense we trust, I think they could play a solid defensive game here, even if Chandler Morris plays. On the other side of the ball, this is the strength for both these teams. Virginia's defense has been great. 32nd in success rate, 28th in PPA per play. Duke's offense, 22nd and 26th. So this is the battle here on this side of the ball. I will say Virginia's defense did a lot of their damage against some really bad offenses. Washington State, North Carolina, Cal, and Wake. Those are 4 of the worst offense. Well, Washington State's not in the ACC, but those are some of the worst offenses in the conference. And Washington State, when they actually saw good offenses, and I mean, I'm not even talking about elite offenses. NC State, Louisville, those aren't elite offenses. Florida State kind of is. They allowed over 6.3 yards per play, over 33 points per game. So when Virginia actually saw elite competition on this side of the ball, the defense didn't look as great, and Duke's defense is definitely elite. I mean, this team in their last 6 games, over 36 points per game, over 48% success rate, 6.6 yards per play. I don't really understand the line movement in this one. It continues to be bought down. I think you can get a 3 right now. You know what? I think I'm going to add Duke. Can you still get a 3? It's 3 at Circa, but it's a juice 3. Let me see if I can get a 3 anywhere real quick. Pause the stream. See if I can get a 3. I'll add Duke right now if I can get a 3. Duke. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. Should I add at a 3.5? 3.5 minus 105. Let's do it. Screw it. I'm adding it. Duke minus 3.5 minus 105. Probably there was a 3 earlier. I'm such a sucker for not grabbing it. One sec. Let me just get that down. Get that posted with everyone. Duke. 3.5. Duke 3.5. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm in. Duke up. 3.5. You could have got a 3 earlier today. Asleep at the wheel. I should have a 3. But yeah, I'm in. Duke. All right. Next up. Penn State, Michigan State. Interesting matchup here. You know, when I first looked at this one, I was like, oh, Michigan State plus 7.5. Got to do it. I actually almost bet Penn State today. All right. All right, let's talk Michigan State, Penn State. Michigan State, Penn State. Where the hell am I graph? There we go. All right. So, I think the first thing I've written down. So I guess the question is, was that everything Penn State had left in the tank? No. I mean, Penn State obviously just played a great game at home to Indiana. What was one of the games of the year? Indiana obviously catches a touchdown to win it at the end. It was pretty electric. So now they go over to East Lansing to play Sparty to what is the basement bowl of the Big Ten. Both these teams 0-6 in conference. Only Purdue is beneath them in the standings. So loser of this game moves to 0-7 in conference play so far this year. I think we all agree. I think we can all agree that Penn State's going to run the ball in this game. I mean, despite the problems Penn State's had, this is still top 25 rushing attack. They're 30th in success rate per rush, 28th in PPA per rush. Michigan State's defense is dealing with injuries. They've struggled against the run all year, 116th and 112th. Look at their last 4 games. They're allowing over 187 rushing yards per game, over 5.2 yards per carry, over 51% success rate per rush. So, I mean, Penn State's going to be able to run the ball in this game. I know you can look at their last 4 games and be like, oh, no, Kyle, Penn State's struggling to run the ball. Look, yeah, they're averaging 3.4 yards per carry in their last 4 games. Look at the opponents. Northwestern's playing some solid football right now, but look at the other 3. Iowa, Ohio State, Indiana. It's like 3 of the top 10 run defenses in the college football. So, yeah, Penn State's going to run the ball. Also, Grunkemeyer looked pretty good in that Indiana game. So, I would imagine Penn State can move the football in this game. On the other side of the ball, Penn State's defense has been disappointing. They're also dealing with injuries. One of their main linebackers, Tony Rojas, is out for the year. That's not new. He got injured probably like 4 games ago. But Michigan State's offense their offensive line is so injured that it's hard to count on them to do much of anything. Coming into the season, Michigan State, the offensive line was actually a strength. But they've been so injured that I don't even know who the starting offensive line is supposed to be anymore. And they just lost another one in the Minnesota game. So I don't really know how we count on Michigan State to do much of anything on offense. We don't even know who the quarterback is anymore. Aiden Childs got benched last game. And the other guy, his name's like Milivojevic or something. I don't know much about him. I don't know how you blame this season on Aiden Childs. The offensive line play they've had there is so terrible. Now, Penn State hasn't dominated this series. They're 8-7 in their last 15 games against Michigan State, 6-8-1 against the spread. They also haven't really had a ton of success in East Lansing, 3-4 straight up in their last 7 trips, 3-4 against the spread. So Michigan State hasn't really got blown out by Penn State like that, but I think Penn State's going to move the ball fluently, and Michigan State's offensive line is too bad. So, yeah, Penn State -7 for me here. I didn't do this. I'm not laying 7 points on the road with Penn State. I have to look myself in the mirror. Texas State. This is more just an interesting line. Check this out. So sharp action's been pretty definitive on this one. Very clear the sharps like Texas State here. It's been bought down all the way from 6.5. So, quick, let's get the slideshow going for Texas State Southern Miss. So look at the standings in the Sun Belt West. Southern Miss sitting at 5-0 in conference, first place. Texas State 0-5 in conference, last place. So you've got the team that's in last place going on the road to play the team that's in first place, and the line's only 3. So why? Why is the first place team at home? Shouldn't they be laying 7.5 here? Well, here's why. Because Texas State has lost some heartbreakers, and coming into the season, Texas State was projected to be a very good team. In fact, I believe they were the second favorite to win this division. So coming into the season, people thought Texas State was going to be strong, and I mean, they lost on a last-second touchdown to Arkansas State. They lost in overtime to Troy. They lost in double overtime to Marshall. James Madison's the only game where they got beat. They got beat by James Madison, who's the best team in the conference. And then Louisiana, 42-39. So the reason this is only 3 and the reason this number is being bet down is because Texas State is a strong team and they're 0-5 in conference. They could easily be 4-1. Like they could very well be 4-1 in conference in second place right now. So that's why the line is down to 3. Texas State's offense actually poses a problem for Southern Miss. This is a Texas State offense that wants to run the ball. They're very explosive. They're a run-first offense, and Southern Miss has had problems defending the run. Here's the thing. Southern Miss has actually done a great job limiting explosive plays, 45th in explosive play rate allowed. And speaking of explosive plays, look at the other half of this graphic, and this is what tells the story. So Southern Miss is good at limiting the explosives, but Southern Miss's offense, 27th in explosive play rate. Texas State can't stop giving up big plays. So as much as I think Texas State might move the ball, on the other side, Southern Miss should really have a nice day offensively. I mean, the only thing, maybe the Braylon Braxton injury is more than it's being perceived, and that might explain the line movement as well. Texas State does have something of a pass rush. Braylon Braxton has been excellent handling pressure. So Braylon Braxton got dinged up in their last game. I'm reading he's completely good to go, but maybe there's more to that injury that's not being told, and maybe some people are betting it because they think he's more injured. From what I read, he's completely good to go. So that would be the path to betting Texas State, is you think Braylon Braxton is more injured than what they're leading on. From what I'm reading, he should be good to go. So if he plays, it's definitely Southern Miss at 3. Obviously, if he ends up not playing, well, that sucks. But yeah, if he plays, this number should be 6.5, probably where it opens. So that could explain the live movement as well. Where the heck is my Southern Miss -3 graphic? The poll's really voting Texas State on this one? Where is my Texas? I don't know. Maybe I don't have graphics for this one. I don't know. All right, who cares about the graphic? Whatever. Next game. Whatever. Let's move on to the next one. Iowa USC. All right. Iowa USC. This one's kind of, I don't feel very strongly about this one. As much as I would love to take Iowa at +7, this is a tough matchup for them. We know Iowa's going to be able to run the football. No one would argue that. No one would argue that Iowa's going to be able to run the football. They're one of the most efficient rushing attacks in the country. They've really come on lately, too. In their last 5 games, I mean, they've seen Penn State, Indiana, Minnesota, Oregon, Wisconsin. These are some tough defensive fronts. They're still averaging over 4.3 yards per carry, over 44% success rate per rush. So not only are they running the ball, they're running the ball on tough defenses. And, I mean, we just saw Northwestern go on the road to USC and average 5.2 yards per carry, over 54% success rate per rush. So I was going to run the ball. We just saw Northwestern go into USC and run the ball. I was going to run the ball in this game. Here's the thing. Northwestern went into USC and ran the ball. They still lost by margin because this USC offense at home is just unstoppable. I mean, they might be the best offense in the country at home. They're second in success rate, first in PPA per play. On paper, this is one of, if not the most efficient offense in college football so far this year. And look, Iowa's defense is good, without a doubt. But this USC offense at home is just a different type of animal. In their last 3 home games, which is Michigan State, okay, they're bad. Michigan's in there. They smoked Michigan in this building. And then Northwestern, who's been playing pretty well as well, averaging 38 points per game, over 7.6 yards per play, 55% success rate. And look, Iowa's defense is tough. We just saw, if you look at their 2 games against Indiana and Oregon, which I guess would be comparable to USC, I mean, they're allowed 6.6 yards per play, 43% success rate. The Oregon game was in the pouring rain. So the way this Iowa team is put together, I just don't think they can make stops against USC because I don't think anyone can in this building. So it would be USC -7 for me. I thought about an over, but if you're Iowa, you're going to make it a point to slow this game down. So Iowa's going to be actively trying to make it a low-scoring game. So I would go USC. This isn't one I personally did, though. Why do I keep moving down on the screen? What the hell is that? Oh, I know why. No, that's not why. Whatever. All right. Oklahoma, Alabama. Boomer Sooner. Just down to 6. Yep, down to 6. Oklahoma, Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I'm on Oklahoma, and I like this one. Although I got +7, so obviously I like it because I'm on a great number. But yeah, I'm on Oklahoma. Where's my graph? My graphics all messed up on this. What the hell? I don't know where my graphic. I'll just type it. There we go. I got Oklahoma. I'm on 7. But yeah, I think Oklahoma's going to put up a fight in this one. I think their defense is really equipped to give Alabama problems. Oklahoma, Alabama. All right. So, first of all, a lot of people are saying this is a revenge game for Alabama, because it is. Last year, Alabama goes on the road to Norman, and, man, Venables blanked this team. Alabama in that game was held to 3 points. DeBoer couldn't do anything against Venables' defense. So obviously Alabama's looking for revenge for this one. In that game, Kalen DeBoer, where's my Alabama offensive number? Kalen DeBoer was held to 4.1 yards per play, 36.8% success rate. So they couldn't do anything against Oklahoma's defense in this game. The winner, Alabama will clinch a spot in the SEC championship with a win. So big game for Alabama, revenge, all of that. So I've kind of, I put this up there to say, I've kind of had my finger on the pulse of this Oklahoma team. This is their last 4 games. I've picked them all right. I had Texas, then Oklahoma against South Carolina, then I had Ole Miss, and then I had Oklahoma against Tennessee. And I think this Oklahoma team is trending in the right direction. We know this. We already knew this. We know the defense is elite. They're first in success rate, 6th in PPA per play. That's not new. We knew they would have an elite defense coming into the season. They've lived up to the hype. A lot of people would say this is the best defense in the country. Alabama, certainly an explosive offense. They're pretty one-dimensional. Run game hasn't really been there for Alabama this year. They're 112th in success rate per rush, 117th in PPA per rush. Now, in terms of his splits, Ty Simpson has handled pressure pretty well. But without run support, this Oklahoma pass rush could be a problem. Ty Simpson has a tendency to hold on to the football. Oklahoma leads the conference. They lead the SEC in sacks. They lead the country in tackles for losses. So this is an Oklahoma defense that knows how to get off the field. And look at Ty Simpson's turnover-worthy play rate against the blitz and under pressure. 5.2%, 7.2%. So he holds on to the football. He takes sacks. He tends to put the ball in harm's way under pressure, and this Oklahoma defense is coming. We saw this Oklahoma defense go on the road in Week 10 to Knoxville, one of the most explosive offenses in the country. They held Tennessee to 27 points, 5.7 yards per play. So, look, they did this without their best defensive player, by the way, R. Mason Thomas, who is listed as questionable. We're not sure if he's going to play in this one. So, yeah, without a run game, by the way, this Alabama offense hasn't even looked that good in the last 2 games. Against South Carolina and LSU, they were held under 39% success rate, 5.23 yards per play. This Alabama offense doesn't even look very good right now. Now, their left guard, Cam Dewberry, should be good to go. He got injured in the LSU game. He should be good to go. But this Alabama offense hasn't looked very good. They don't have a run game. I think Oklahoma's defense can play great here. They're not going to shut down Alabama in Tuscaloosa, but I think they could really keep the offense from running it up. They're going to have some problems. And on the other side of the ball, I can't believe I actually like the matchup a little for Oklahoma. So I've been very vocal about the fact that I don't think Oklahoma's offense is very good. They are coming around a little bit on the ground. Look at their last 2 games. 164 rushing yards per game, over 5.2 yards per carry, over 44% success rate per rush here. And Alabama's run defense, that was a concern earlier in the year. Now, the last 2 games, it looks like things are all right. They have some solid numbers against the run in their last 2. 2.7 yards per carry, 85 rushing yards per game. That's against South Carolina and LSU, 2 lesser SEC offenses. In the 4 games before that, when they saw teams that can run it, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, they allowed over 5.9 yards per carry, over 48% success rate per rush, 167 rushing yards per game. They're still missing that linebacker, Quay Ashley. He's out for the year. And I think Oklahoma's going to be able to run the ball in this game. Now, I know Mateer hasn't played well, and that's probably why the line opened up at 7, is Mateer hasn't thrown the ball very efficiently. I'm not really expecting him to piece up Alabama's secondary, but Oklahoma, I think we're going to see a really conservative game plan here offensively. Run the ball, play defense. Mateer's going to make plays with his legs. If he does throw it, I'm not expecting him to take the top off the defense. It's going to hit that little receiver, Burks, underneath to try to get him into space. Yeah, I think this is a defensive battle, and I think it comes down to a field goal at the end. So I like my my spot here, Oklahoma +7. Next game. This one's almost not even worth talking about. All right. Memphis ECU. Big game here. So this number's good now. I'll show you why I like the matchup for ECU, but I'm on ECU at +1.5. So they're -3 now. I'll put it up and we can talk about it real quick, but I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. The number's like long gone. All right, Memphis ECU. All right. So this is a really tough matchup for Memphis offensively. This is an offense that wants to run the ball. They're very good at it. They're 14th in success rate per rush, 5th in PPA per rush, but they're going into a really tough spot here. Number one, ECU's defense has been elite against the run all year. I mean, all year. We were talking about ECU having a great run defense in week 3 or 4. So, this is on paper a top 10 run. We know they're not a top 10 run defense. It's not schedule adjusted, but this is a very, very strong run defense. This is also a defense that's historically much better at home. So Memphis offensively going into East Carolina, trying to run the ball in this defensive front, I'm not sure. It's a very, very strong run defense. So right off the bat, we know Brendan Lewis isn't the traditional pocket passer. Not that he can't do it. It's just not really what Memphis does. So I think it's a tough matchup for Memphis offensively. And on the other side of the ball, what does Memphis struggle with? The secondary. They struggle against the pass. I mean, ECU, they're not a complete pass-happy offense, but they throw the ball a lot. They're always whipping the ball around. They run a very fast pace. They're also better at home. So I think ECU is able to score points in this game. Look at Memphis defense against the pass. Against UAB, South Florida, Tulane. I took the Rice game out. That's 3 of their last 4 games. Rice runs an option. It's not even a valid data point. They're allowing 9.73 yards per pass attempt, over 56% success rate per drop back. Remember, that's why I said I like Tulane in that game where everyone liked Memphis. I was like, guys, I don't think the secondary is very good. So, yeah, I think ECU can score. I wouldn't bet it now, but, yeah, I got +1.5 for ECU. Everyone likes Memphis in that one. Honestly, if there's 3.5s out there, it's probably Memphis at this point. New Mexico State, Tennessee. We don't have to. So I would go over on this one. I'm not even going to load up the. Tennessee has a history of completely blowing out these bad teams. You know, some teams, they like play with their food. Like Georgia will beat this team like 38-10, or like some teams play around with it. Not Tennessee. Like Heupel's got a history of just blowing these teams out. So Duck really likes Tennessee -39.5. He was really confident in it. I would go over. I think Tennessee could score 60. So they don't seem to take their foot off the gas. They're really probably going to beat this team up bad. So over or Tennessee minus the big number here. North Carolina, Wake. We're finally seeing this number come down. Man, I was really worried. Why is this number not coming down? Where's it at now? North Carolina, Wake. Oh, it's still at 5.5, actually. I thought it was coming down. It's really not. So I'm on North Carolina at 6.5. And North Carolina looks pretty strong. All right, let's talk about North Carolina. All right, so obviously, we know North Carolina's defense has had its problems. It's been the butt of a lot of jokes this year. They're 121st in success rate, 125th in PPA per play, and Wake's defense is great. The thing is, Wake's offense is so bad. So, first of all, we know North Carolina is going to struggle to move the ball in this game. I mean, they just won against Stanford, and their offense looked terrible in the game. So, we know North Carolina is going to struggle to move the ball. The thing is, we did see Wake Forest defense look not nearly as good against Florida State, but still, North Carolina's offense isn't good, so I'm not even trying to say Wake Forest defense isn't good. Chandler Morris left the Virginia game. Really, it's on the other side of the ball. I had this graphic to say North Carolina's offense didn't play good, and they still should have won by double digits. But on the other side of the ball, Wake Forest offense is not good. They're 129th in success rate, 119th in PPA per play. This is a North Carolina defense that's not only got good numbers on the year, they're playing their best football by far right now. They also might be getting corner Thaddeus Dixon back as well. If you look at their numbers from their last 4 games, they are playing outstanding on this side of the ball. Under 16 points per game, under 3.8 yards per play, 36.1% success rate. All 4 of those offenses better than Wake. So this defense is playing great. And that corner, Thaddeus Dixon, he might be coming back for this one. He didn't even play in these 4 games. He got injured right before this. So they might be getting a cornerback back. I think Wake might be missing a wide receiver as well. I don't know how this number was at 6.5. I still don't know how it's at 5.5. This should be at 3. These 2 teams in their last 5 games, North Carolina's 3-2 straight up, 2-3 against the spread. All 5 games were decided by 1 possession. We've got 2 great defenses and 2 bad offenses. North Carolina, you can make the argument that they should have won 4 games in a row. They lost 2 in heartbreaking fashion, then they've won 2. So North Carolina's just playing well right now. I don't understand why this hasn't come down. So yeah, I'm on North Carolina at 6.5. I think it should be 3. Yeah, I think this is way off. Chat likes North Carolina as well. Why do I swear every single game I keep moving lower and lower on the screen. I don't get it. Utah, Baylor. This is one I want to add. You guys aren't going to like it though. Utah, Baylor. All right. So that win over Cincinnati was huge for Utah. So they don't control their own destiny, but they're still very much alive in the Big 12 race. Remember, BYU and Cincinnati still play each other. So 2 of the teams that are above Utah still play each other. So and in Arizona State, their quarterback, Levitt, out for the year. So Utah's very much alive in this Big 12 race, but they're going to have to win out. So Utah's not dead yet. Thing is, Baylor's defense. So we know this is not a good defense. You didn't need me to tell you that. You already knew that. They're coming off a great defensive performance. And I think, not that Utah's offense is comparable to UCF, but I think what they did against UCF, they're going to do the same thing here. So in the 3 games before that, we don't want to let one good defensive game just erase what was happening before that. We know Baylor was struggling defensively, allowing 39 points per game, over 48% success rate. That was against Kansas State, TCU, Cincinnati. So not going to let one elite defensive game all of a sudden erase everything for Baylor's defense. I mean, this Utah offense is great. It's one of the best rushing attacks in the country. They're 7th in success rate per rush, 3rd in PPA per rush. Ever since that Texas Tech game, remember, Texas Tech kind of blanked them on their home stadium. Since then, they've run the ball on basically everybody. 6.3 yards per carry, 287.2 yards per game. So this Utah rushing attack looks great. Here's the thing. I actually think there's a path to Baylor holding their own defensively in this game. When I say holding their own, I mean keep Utah from hanging 40 on them. Obviously, Utah's going to score in the game. Like, I'm not expecting like an elite defensive performance, but so it's supposed to be a windy day here. And what they did against Central Florida was load up the box, take away the run, and dare Taven Jackson to throw it downfield. That's what they did against UCF. It was wildly successful. They beat UCF, what was it, 30-3? UCF did nothing offensively in the game. Now, obviously, Utah and UCF are not comparable. But who's to say they don't do that same exact thing here? Load up the box, do whatever they can to take the run away, dare Dampier to throw it downfield into the wind. Look, Dampier is certainly capable of making them pay for it, but he hasn't been very efficient throwing the ball. Look at the last 3 games where he started. It's all been on the ground. This 81-2 NFL passer rating. So I actually think there's a path here. I think they're going to load up the box just like they did against UCF. They're going to dare Dampier to throw the ball downfield into a very windy day. He has not been throwing the ball very efficiently. And one thing Baylor has done a good job of this year is limiting the big plays. So I think Baylor's going to be really aggressive defensively to take away the run here. And I think there's a path to Baylor playing okay on this side of the ball. Now, on the other side of the ball, we've got quite the battle here. Utah's defense is elite, 10th in success rate, 8th in PPA per play. Baylor's offense, obviously, very, very, very talented offense. 35th in success rate, 30th in PPA per play. We know Utah has one of the best pass rushers in the country. They blitz a lot. They generate a ton of pressure. Sawyer Robinson, though, gets the ball out quickly. He's also been excellent under pressure so far this year. And we talked about how Baylor's great at limiting the explosive plays. Well, the weakness of this Utah defense has been explosive plays, and Baylor's a big play machine. So I think this number's inflated based on some games we saw earlier in the year. I don't think this should be above 7. I was really thinking about adding Baylor at +9. I think this number's way too big. I think Baylor can give them a game, man. Really liking that their defense is coming off such an elite game. I was thinking about adding this, Baylor. I did. As of right now, I don't have that one, though. Next up, Florida, Ole Miss. Poor Florida. Poor Florida. How do you get beat 38-3 by Kentucky? That's just next level, man. So there's a lot of Twitter nonsense surrounding this game. What I mean by that is they're calling it what do they call it? The Lane Kiffin Bowl or something. They're saying this obviously. So apparently, allegedly, Lane Kiffin is at the top of the list to possibly get the Florida job. I don't know that for a fact. I don't care about. I hate Rumorville sports gossip. I can't stand it. I don't like it. Like I'm not the type of person to be like, who do we think that? Like I don't care. From what I'm hearing, Lane Kiffin is at the top of the list to be the Florida head coach, and this is the audition as he plays against Florida, the Lane Kiffin Bowl, for those of you that are interested in that kind of thing. So Florida, Ole Miss, is the number too big, I guess is the question we need to ask here. Well, right off the bat, home away splits not in Florida's favor. They're going to Oxford, where Ole Miss is a perfect 7-0. And this Florida Gators team has not won a road game all year. 0-4 on the road against Ole Miss. It's 7-0 at home. Not a great start here to the breakdown for Florida. You look at this Florida team, and I guess you have to ask, did they just empty the tank and just put everything they have into the biggest cocktail party or whatever the hell that game is called against Georgia? Biggest rivalry game of the year. They just left it all out on the field because they got beat 38-3 by Kentucky the following week. And this Florida offense, you got DJ Lagway getting benched in the second half. Now, from what I'm reading, he's still the starter, but he got benched in the second half. He threw 3 interceptions, I believe, against Kentucky. Eugene Wilson and Dallas Wilson out, not going to play the rest of this year. Those are their 2 big playmaking wide receivers. Just not a ton of like here about this Florida offense right now. And I don't even think Ole Miss defense is very good, by the way. It's just, dude, how do you get held to 3 points by Kentucky? What is Florida going to do here offensively without their playmaking wide receivers? Now, maybe you could say, if you're trying to take the big number with Florida, you could say, hey, Ole Miss doesn't have much of a pass rush. Maybe getting benched was a wake-up call for DJ Lagway. He got benched. His confidence got shook. He comes back out because I think he is going to start. Ole Miss doesn't have much of a pass rush, maybe, but he's missing his 2-star wide receivers. On top of all that, I mentioned Florida's 0-4 on the road. Want to see their offensive stats in those games? 10.3 points per game, 4.16 yards per play. This Florida offenses look really bad in every single road game this year. So I don't even think Ole Miss defense is great, but they should be able to play a great defensive game here. And on the other side of the ball, the Florida defense deserves our respect. They've played solid defense all year. The Florida's problem has not been the defense, but this Ole Miss offense, especially at home at Oxford, it's so explosive. That kid Chambliss is so good, and they're also starting to run the ball a little bit. Ole Miss looks great offensively here. 15th in success rate, 14th in PPA per play. Look at their numbers in their SEC games. Just want to get a look against the tougher opponents because Florida's defense is good. Averaging over 32 points per game, over 6 yards per play. They're also revenge, by the way. Almost forgot about this. So this is also a revenge here. So if you remember, Florida and DJ Lagway kind of ruined Lane Kiffin's season last year. This is November 23rd last year, they go into the Swamp and lose. If Ole Miss wins that game, they probably go to the college football playoff. That game ruined the season for Lane Kiffin last year. So it's a revenge too. Man, I don't know how much Florida has left in the tank. I think this might be blowout central. Ole Miss. It was up to 13.5. Looks like it did get bought down a little bit. So somewhere out there is somebody sharp betting Florida, but definitely not me. I think Ole Miss should win by a hefty margin. Ole Miss minus the points. Next up, 3 games left. Thanks for sticking around. 440 people in here at 3:30 in the morning. You love to see it. All right. Next up. One of the I got some good numbers this week. This is not a game where I got a good number. I'm on a +6 here. But I mean, it's not like it's up to 7. Actually, before I say that, let me check. Is it up to 7? Nah, 6.5. All right. Texas, Georgia. I did take Texas in this one. And okay. Let me just get the I think Texas offense is finally coming around. So first of all, triple revenge here. So Georgia beat Texas not once, twice last year in the SEC championship game. So I remember these games vividly. I took Georgia in the first one. I had Texas in the second one. And man, I thought someone was giving me an injury insight on Braylon Braxton. He actually said, I showed Braylon Braxton an arm workout 4 years ago in Frisco. 4-1 betting on him. Thought he was about to tell. There's an injury concern with him. And some people are saying that's why the line's going down. Anyway, Texas, Georgia, 6.5. So triple revenge here. Georgia beat Texas twice. And you can make the solid argument that Texas should have beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. You look at the efficiency numbers there. Texas, 5.26 yards per play, 36% success rate. Not good offensively. But look at their defense. They held Georgia to 4.13 yards per play in the game. The defense played great. There was a couple turnovers. I forget exactly what happened, but Texas really probably should have won that game in the SEC championship. You have to say this is that the loser of this one, I have a standings. There we go. Loser of this one probably eliminated from SEC championship competition. So huge game. Winner go home here on both sides. All right, let's start with the Texas offense, which is obviously everyone's biggest concern. We know Texas offense has had all kinds of problems this year. 106th in success rate, 85th in PPA per play. They played a lot of really strong defenses, and now that they're seeing some lesser defenses, over 39 points per game in their last two, over 6.1 yards per play. The offense looks miles better than they did earlier in the season. And you might be thinking, well, Kyle, that's against Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. Georgia's defense is not very good. I mean, Georgia's had all kinds of defensive problems this year. You look at Georgia's defense last 3 games. Yeah, the 25.3 points per game, 5.2 yards per play, 41% success rate. Those aren't great. Those aren't elite defensive numbers. This is not the elite Georgia defense of years past. And Arch Manning, coming off his best game maybe ever, 328 yards, a 136.9 passer rating, handled pressure really well. Yeah, I think this Texas offense is peaking at the right time. And I don't think Georgia's defense is very good. They're also still injured. Safety Kyron Jones is still out. Defensive tackle Jordan Hall is still out. They might be getting one of their corners back, DeMello Jones. But they're missing 2 starters on the defense. I think Texas is going to be able to move the ball in this game. Now, on the other side of the ball, Georgia's offense is very, very strong. But so is Texas defense. 28th in success rate, 19th in PPA per play. You look at Georgia's offense when they've seen elite defenses that are on Texas level, 22 points per game, 4.87 yards per play. In fact, you could argue they should have lost that Auburn game. Remember that crazy call before halftime? There was some questionable officiating in that game. And Texas defense, all right, you see they struggle against the pass in their last 2 games. In fact, I'll bring those up. They struggled against the pass in their last 2 games. Look, against Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, 373.5 yards per game. What's significant about these 2 games, which is pretty much the only games where they really struggled defensively? What's significant about these 2 games? No Michael Taffy, their best defensive player, their safety, their team captain. He missed these 2 games. He's back now. So Michael Taffy's back in at safety, and their other safety is Jelani McDonald. He left the Vanderbilt game after 11 snaps. So they played the Mississippi State game missing their star safety. They played the Vanderbilt game missing both their safeties. They're both back. They're both playing for this one. So Texas defense has been pretty elite all year. When they've had their guys on the field, they're going to have their guys on the field. This game should be a flat 4, man. Yeah, I'm on this one. I believe in Arch. I got a 6. You can get a 6.5 right now. So market move the other way. Do it. Horns up. Next up, two games left. Ooh, I got a good number on this one too. I'm in on this one. I'm on Mizzou. All right, Missouri. Let's talk about Mississippi State, Mizzou. Okay, so I know Missouri's offense is a concern with the quarterback situation, right? Bo Pribula's hurt, Sam Horn, and they've got the freshman starting. I know there's concern here for the Missouri offense. Here's the thing. Mississippi State can't stop the run. 125th in success rate per rush. They can't stop the run. And Missouri is one of the best running backs in the country. 11th in success rate, 15th in PPA per rush. We saw them running the ball in Alabama. I mean, this team can flat out run the ball. So even though the quarterback position is a concern here for Missouri, everyone in the world knows they're going to be handing the ball off on every play in here. I don't think there's still anything Mississippi State can do to stop it. So Missouri should have no problems running the football in this game. Look at Mississippi State's defense in their SEC games. That's you can see the teams on the screen. They're allowing over 204 rushing yards per game, over 5.1 yards per carry, 53% success rate per rush. The opponent hands the ball off. Mississippi State can't get off the field. They're also missing their main tackler and best defensive player, Isaac Smith, their safety, out. So on top of everything, they're missing their best defensive player. So, yeah, I know the Missouri quarterback situation, it's a concern. I'm not loving the idea of backing a freshman. I think he's a freshman. I'm not loving that. They're going to hand the ball off, though. And Mississippi State knows they're going to hand the ball off, still can't stop it. And on the other side of the ball, matchup gets even better here for Missouri because Mississippi State does have an offense. We know they can score. There's quarterback situation here. We don't know if Blake Shapen's going to play, but Missouri, one of the best defenses in the country, 9th in success rate, 25th in PPA per play. Now, we don't know if Blake Shapen's going to play for this in this one. It might be freshman Kamario Taylor, who, by the way, they're big on. In fact, I'm reading that a lot of the Mississippi State fan base wants Kamario Taylor to play. So he's a freshman that has high upside. But are we really going to take so it's either Blake Shapen or Kamario Taylor? If it's Blake Shapen, this is a guy who has struggled with pressure all year. A 45-2 passer rating when pressured. Missouri's got one of the best pass rushes in the country. And if they're starting Kamario Taylor, who's a little more athletic, you're going to take a freshman in his first road start against this pass rush? A freshman quarterback against this pass rush? No. Missouri should win this one comfortably. They should hold on to the ball the entire game. I'm in at 6. Is it? There's no 6.5s left. Is there a 6.5? You can still get a juice 6.5. So if you want to do that, get a 6.5. All right, last game up, and market hates this. I'm on BYU at a terrible number. I'm on 4.5. Maybe a little bit of an emotional decision here. I love TCU. In fact, if TCU didn't blow my -5.5 last week, I would have had such a monster week between the NFL and college football. But yeah, so TCU looks terrible. The offense doesn't look crisp right now. They're going into Provo to see the BYU defense. BYU is going to win the line of scrimmage battle on both sides of the ball. It's going to be cold as hell. TCU wants to try to throw the ball in this elevation. BYU is going to hand the ball off. They're going to control the clock. Like I said, I'm getting the home team controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. There are now 3s available. So the market hates this. Clearly, sharp, influential action somewhere is taking TCU. I don't understand it. I think BYU wins comfortably. So I'm on BYU. Everyone, thanks for watching. Let's have ourselves a good Saturday. Betting league standings are 1 second. Get these standings up here. So in the Eastern Hound Division, Camel Toes in first, Bender in second. I'm in third. Jay Jerky is winning the Colombian White Division with 2.31 units. Shipley sucks. Oh, that's Toast. Toast is Shipley sucks. Toast is in second. Armed Robbery, Timeline and S. Daughter up top. Wags is winning the Amish Division, followed by Shipley's mom, and my name is Treetop. Shark Week. Wow. Shark Week and Little Nas X are terrible divisions. You guys are awful. 0.38 and 0.41 are in first place in Shark Week and Little Nas X divisions. So I'm putting the league up. You guys have until noon to submit. Everyone, thank you. Sorry we didn't get the edited video this week. I was short on time, but yeah, the slideshow thing worked out. So everyone, have a good one. I'll be in the Discord hanging out watching football all day tomorrow. Later.